Um, okay, let's go to a little history. Let's get right into it. So let's look at the internet 30 years ago. If you really think about it as a base idea, and more than 30 years ago now, wow, that's kind of amazing, is you're talking about information at faster speeds. So like one example I use, this is just, kind of moot, but off topic, but that I love is, the newspaper doesn't come, we can log online and we can see a movie time. There's more information coming. Let's get into marketing with this idea. So let's say it's 1995 and we're at a business selling concrete, selling a variety of items. Let's say asbestos, demolition, concrete, stuff like that for home builders, home buyers. You know, okay, we can email customers now because we don't necessarily have to just mail them. So that's going to cut down on time, right? Okay, so maybe X audience, the mail, we can look at the data there and see that the mail's not relevant. We can switch it to email. We save time. We don't have to go through copy editing. We don't have to look at, the physical copies as much. We don't have to worry about what time the mail's going out. But I think that's kind of thinking that you got to be careful with because marketing, in my view, and from what I've seen, is really about quality. Let's go to this slide. So I think there's that phrase, obviously, there's an 80-20 proposition. Things in life can be like that. But again, to my quality point, I think marketing's more like 96 and 4%. So I think this thinking you got to be careful of is like AI is saving me time. AI is saving me time. But again, I think it's more about encompassing like the broader idea. I'd say I love Neil deGrasse Tyson, by the way. I listen to his podcast, and I think one brilliant thing, and I'm sure everyone in the conference here is sick of hearing about AI, but one brilliant thing he said is that, I mean, you could spell check an email in 1999, right? I mean, is it AI per se, or is it more an advancing of the goalposts? And again, that's a historical topic, kind of a little off topic, but if you go back every 30 years, there's just these amazing changes, and then new ideas encompass these changes and change our society. And you got to think a lot of this stuff from the 90s was kind of similar to 2010. Up until 2010, excuse me, was kind of similar. You're talking about mail, TV, radio, newspapers, a little bit of email. But then obviously in 2010, that all exploded. You got social media, you have YouTube, there's advertising through that. There's still these old forms. So anyway, in this new era, I still think we have to think about quality because if someone's visiting your service page, they came for a reason and they're 10 times more likely to become a converted lead. So we really want to maximize that. So my take from this little intro is the internet is information. And I think most of the talk I've heard about in the media is AI is data. So the amazing amount of data you have is honestly, it blows my mind every day. It's profound. So here's an example. Uh, if you get a counteroffer from a company, before I think a couple of years ago, everything was unclear. You could look at Google and then you could get different opinions on it. And actually, the data says you should not accept a counteroffer, which is contrary to what many people were saying the last 20 years. So here's some other tools we can use before we get into it. Claude, Gemini, obviously. ClearScope is pretty good. Surfer SEO, Jasper. We all know Google Analytics 4. HubSpot is pretty interesting. I haven't used that a ton. For social, there's Brandwatch, Sprout. I love, I'm a big Sprout fan, and their AI insights are great. And then for optimizing ads, we have Meta Advantage, Google Ads. So there's a whole lot of tools we can use. So I'm going to plug this in ChatGPT. So let me open up my browser and share it. But when we're talking about data and ideas, the first thing you have to do in ChatGPT is focus on your target audience. So I think I mentioned it a little bit later, but you could call AI ambiguous information, right? If you're not talking about what you need immediately. How many times have you done that too? You have to put in more information after, whoops, why didn't I say that in the first sentence? So we're going to take these questions here, and I've already plugged these in. But if you're thinking about a user, like a donut shop in LA, these questions are going to sort of gain insights into our audience, and they're going to help grow our target audience and make sure we're hitting it. So let me just share ChatGPT for one moment so I can share. So we start off testing an AI audit for a company for marketing. Not what I was supposed to do. I've asked those questions later, but it'll give us a pretty clear set of goals, give us the core areas. But anyway, let's plug that in. Persona for a user for that donut shop. Also, I noticed in LA, some of them are spelled differently. They're spelled the British way. Social foodie, that's pretty good. Someone who's into Instagram pictures. We get a breakdown by neighborhood, their goals, their emotional triggers. This is pretty good. Before we create two more personas, this is pretty good actually. Local regular customer and an event occasion buyer, probably a tourist, I'd say. Let's just plug this in. Sorry. Probably say you've already asked me this, but no, four deeper questions to California Donuts personas. Look at that, the event planner mom, emotional triggers. This is actually really interesting, like a big birthday, wedding, anxiety. Maybe there's a market for big orders, excitement, relief. So this is pretty cool. Go back to my slides for a minute. There's a couple more audits you can do. So there's a specific language audit. So for example, I'm not saying this donut shop I picked out would have this, but if you're a business, let's say the donut shop just says as a drop-down menu, contact us. Maybe it could be something like order now for great donuts or, thanks for purchasing, exclamation point. There could be better language. So here's another prompt, a specific language versus generic language prompt. Okay. The one tip here, if you're a business, you can take your competitors' pictures and you can compare them. You can actually copy paste them in there, or you can ask with the web links, but let's just see what it says here. Okay. Look at this criteria we have. The visual appeal is pretty good. We have a storefront photo it mentions in here. That's pretty good. But it's giving us some help Does the photo communicate what's special about this donut shop versus generic one? Wow, that's a great point. Uniqueness, signature. Looks like this shop has to work on that. Any donut store display. It looks like we need help with our variety here. So we've got our assessment, our weaknesses, recommendations. Let's just ask, what are three specific things we can do immediately to prove this in the next month? A signature shoot idea, low cost. That's always good. I remember I was actually working for a store and some of these ideas are tough. Lifestyle shots to your feed and website. So they probably have too many photos of donuts and not enough photos of people eating them. You know, obviously people take Instagram photos of donuts and TikToks. So there's some element we're missing there. But again, if you're a business owner of this shop, I mean, this is just amazing stuff. This is not something you could do a few years ago. You'd have to talk to someone in person, and you still can do that and should, but you know, it's a really amazing tool with matching visuals. Okay, I'm going to show you one more audit for time's sake. I don't want to go on too long. We've done potential leads. We've done a specific language audit. Let's just get right into where a user would be. So let's use this audit. I'm going to call it a user-specific audit. Prompt, I'm sorry. Copy paste. Give me 1 second. Sorry about this. Stuff is frozen up. Create a detailed persona for X job title working in X industry or company. Mention geography there, who's responsible for X. This individual is facing challenges with X, Y, Z, and they're seeking your product service to address these issues. Interesting. From the perspective of a digital marketing manager, it's talking about acquisition costs. It's also telling her what platforms we could use. We could future-proof the company's marketing against algorithm and privacy changes. There's a lot here. Emotional triggers. So if I fill that in more, it could give me the perspective of the user or the business owner. So it could, you know, it's asking me right now, 2 more complementary personas. Let's just do the small business owner. Runs a small cafe and bakery, 12 employees. Okay. He kind of oversees everything and he manages their social media pages. Not a good thing for us. So we can see how he will evaluate vendors here. And I probably could have worded that a little better, but you know, potential lead, potential lead. Google Maps is probably important. So anyway, I don't want to go on too long, but if you create a persona, you can match different perspectives, and that's really going to help you. And here, let me go back to my slides for 1 second because I do want to show you one thing, which I found profound, but I think this goes to the idea of my talk, is AI is about data and ideas. So the information, the internet I mentioned is information. Now we have data and ideas, not just data. And look at this, 66% of content marketers generate ideas with AI, and that's tied with suggesting edits. So again, back to that analogy I made of the company 30 years ago, is I think there's a different way to think about it. And I think we are all good here, but I just wanted to show you a few things there, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So thanks.